guys, Mustang here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video. And so yesterday I did the video for what happens if you pull AGL GINYU and you didn't pull the side banner units. We made a team using him and the full free-to-play GINYU force to beat the legendary Vegeta event, just to show that obviously he can work in events without the side banner units. But a lot of people did ask me in the comments and on Twitter to do the reverse. So if you're somebody who did throw some summons at the banner and you pulled the side banner units but you didn't pull Captain GINYU, you guys wanted to see what those guys would look like. So the way I've built the team here, because obviously GINYU is the 200% leader, so of course the team is going to be impacted quite a bit. But we've brought Bojack as the lead, so we have a Space Travelling Warriors leader skill, which of course all of the GINYU force are on. It's the extra 30% buff for GINYU's 200% leader skill, and then we do obviously have a GINYU friend. So we've got both the side banner units, RECOOME Guldo and JEICE and BURTER. Obviously, the one thing that will differ, of course, if you did pull the units, and depending on how many copies you did pull, my JEICE and BURTER are 55%, but my RECOOME and Guldo are already 79%. So, unfortunately, I can't, set them back to 55 to see what they would look like in this video. So, obviously, we're going to take advantage of, we've got Bojack's leader skill, so we've got a 170 lead and a 200% lead for all of the GINYU units. We've got the Int GINYU, because he is a very solid standalone unit as part of the team, right? And both of these side banner units require GINYUs to be on rotation with them in order for them to get their full potential. Now, the physical LR GINYU force does count for this, right? Because it's name including GINYU, and the physical LR is Captain GINYU, like brackets GINYU force. So RECOOME and Guldo do get their guaranteed guard. They dodged the first hit, but obviously we get the defense raise from Super, which is always very nice. And then they're able to tank the hits. And then the physical LR just under a 5 million attack stat. So obviously one thing to bear in mind, of course, the team is going to have a slightly lower level of performance if you don't pull the Captain GINYU, solely for the fact that we're obviously now operating under a 170 lead and a 200% lead as opposed to double 200. So obviously we are going to see some slightly lower numbers here, but JEICE and BURTER at 55%, starting off at 158k. Obviously, they have their 50% chance to dodge. They are going to take a lot of damage, especially if you put them in slot 1, and they don't get the dodges. But then they do raise their defense on super attack. They do have a chance to do an additional from their passive as well. I did give mine an additional skill orb, so even at 55%, if you have like an additional skill orb, you can still get a triple super turn out of them, which is obviously very good. And then, of course, AGL Captain GINYU. I mean, you obviously bring a friend, right, to run the team. So he's still going to be working out perfectly fine. I mean, AGL GINYU is good enough that under his 200% leader skill and then getting the 170 from our Bojack leader, we're still going to be fine. Now, I chose Bojack. If you don't have Bojack, and you can obviously use STR Cooler, he has the Terrifying Conqueror's lead, which is obviously one of GINYU's main leader skills. If you're talking just GINYU force, because obviously you want to use the two side banner units, is kind of the point of the video, you could use any of the Namek Saga leaders. Once you start moving out of like the extreme types though, then obviously you are going to have to worry about team building, in the sense that, like, if you want to bring say STR Super Saiyan Goku, right, the original Namek Saga leader, if he's just floating on third rotation, he's not really going to be doing much for the team. He doesn't obviously link up very well with the GINYU force outside of like Fierce Battle on the side banner units. So you might want to run him on rotation with another Namek Saga Goku. Or, of course, you can run Full Power Frieza, who has the Namek Saga leader skill. So you could have a rotation with Full Power Frieza and then one of the other Friezas, or I guess you could use like a GINYU unit, but they're not going to link up well, so it's probably not the best idea. But yeah, there are definitely a bunch of ways you can build the team with differing 170 leader skills, and then GINYU's going to be providing the 200%. I chose Bojack just because I talked about it a little bit when we did the STR Cooler showcase, is that pre-transformed I do like Bojack a little bit more than Cooler, mainly because he has the defense raise on super, so in these more difficult events we're going to be using him as a third slot floating support unit for his main role. So the fact that he raises defense on super obviously does help us out a little bit. Whereas Cooler lowers attack instead, which in a lot of these events you can't actually do against the main bosses, right? So obviously he's not going to be anywhere near as good. But I mean, I think it's pretty clear so far. We haven't got to the harder stages yet, of course, but I mean, the team still functions perfectly well. You do miss a little bit out from not having the 200% leader skill, but that's the thing, like, especially for global, the 200% meta is still quite young. 170 teams are still perfectly viable, especially with units now that are getting like their easy A's and getting full 170 across the board leader skills. My guys are 2 links away from max level 10 as well, so starting off with 220k defense with the support from STR JEICE. I mean, I would say that that is still perfectly fine for them, considering they get a defense buff when they take their first hit, and they're getting guaranteed guard. This int Ginyu is actually pretty solid, especially after supering. So this rotation does actually work quite nicely with RECOOME Guldo in slot 1, and then int Captain Ginyu in slot 2. And then obviously the AGL Ginyu, because he infinitely stacks, if you're a little bit worried about JEICE BURTER taking like the big damage, then obviously you can run the rotation like this, where we just have Ginyu in slot 1, because after a few super attacks, I mean, even here with him only having one of the leads at 170, he's already over 400k defense on this other turn, so obviously he's going to be perfectly fine, especially because we have type advantage on this stage as well. So yeah, going smoothly so far. We should take double-digit damage from this. Well, I can't remember if he lowers defense in this phase or not. Yeah, he does, but we still only take like 1,900, and then we still take double digits from the normal attack. So obviously the friend AGL Captain Ginyu is going to do most of the work. I mean, if you pull the side banner units and you just run them on like, you know, a double Bojack 170 team, they're going to do slightly worse, of course. But like, they're both built around being used with a Ginyu. So the physical LR Ginyu Force EZA, I think, is good enough that you can use them on like Space Traveling Warriors or Terrifying Conquerors as a support unit. But even then, they get more buffs with more Ginyu Force units. So all of these units are designed to be used together. But I do think, especially after the video we did yesterday and this video as well, like the free-to-play Ginyu Force units, especially on this team, are actually pretty good. I mean, so far we are kind of flying through this. I know the earlier stages are obviously not super hard. We didn't take any, like, you know, unfortunate super attacks in slot 1 right at the beginning or anything crazy like that. So, I mean, these guys are still able to perform pretty well. So, again, this is the whole purpose of making this video, is similar to yesterday's one. Like, you guys asked for this as a follow-up. But, like, a lot of people were wanted to summon for Ginyu because he's really good. But they were concerned about you know, like, what happens if I don't pull the side banner units, or what happens if I only pull the side banner units? So I think these videos are a good example of how that can still work out pretty well. So Ginyu has 400k defense. I probably will get him transformed soon, so we probably can afford to take the super in slot 1 here with him. He's not going to take a crazy amount of damage. And then we are actually going to get the Dokkan attack probably on the next turn. So even if he does take some big damage here, we should be perfectly fine to recover with the Dokkan attack. And then even if we don't recover enough HP in the next turn from the Dokkan attack, that's going to give us the opportunity to awaken or exchange Ginyu into Ginyu Goku. And then after all that, he didn't even take that much damage anyway. 59k in slot 1, perfectly good. That's the thing with these infinite defensive stacking units, is once you get a few turns into a long event, you can use them as a slot 1 unit. And that's obviously going to benefit this team, because even like with your own Ginyu and the side banner units, like at the start of difficult events, Ginyu is not great in slot 1, especially when it comes to like getting hit with a super attack. But once you've stacked him up a little bit, he works really, really well in slot 1. So JEICE BURTER with the additional super, so their defense is going to be looking pretty good here. The dodge chance obviously is one of their main defensive utility things. So in events that cancel out dodge, they're obviously not going to be anywhere near as good. Mostly that's in the last phase of some of these long events, but of course Red Zone Broly completely cancels dodge. So whilst their defense is good after they super, there's always the possibility in that stage specifically, like the Red Zone Broly, right, that you could get AoE supered before they have got their supers off, so then you're going to be taking big damage. So we'll let RECOOME and Guldo finish him off here with the Dokkan attack. I mean, RECOOME and Guldo have looked perfectly solid throughout this run. They only get 3 links active with the free-to-play int Captain Ginyu. And they're still tanking everything like absolute champions. And we're at, what, 2.3 million attack with the support from the physical Ginyu force. So again, like I said at the beginning, obviously these numbers are noticeably lower than if you were running the actual AGL Ginyu, obviously, because you're getting that extra 30%. And then, of course, Ginyu is the Dokkan Fest Ginyu is a much better link partner for them because they have a couple of extra links, including Fierce Battle, which is obviously very good for their overall numbers. So, but yeah, so far, I mean, the team has been working out pretty well. I'm going to put Ginyu in slot 1 again because I would rather raise JEICE BURTER's defense before they get their dodges off just in case. Ginyu's at 653k defense, so he's looking pretty good in slot 1, just big chilling. Hopefully if we do get super attacked, it's on him. I mean, Bojack will be able to tank a super from this physical Vegeta at the end as well. The only bad thing is, of course, if JEICE and Burter don't dodge a super from this Vegeta, it will do a lot of damage. But, I mean, that's going to happen even if you have Ginyu, right? I mean, we have AGL Ginyu on this rotation with them. And that's just it, right? In harder content, type disadvantage super attacks, always going to do big damage to you. So, hopefully we get the double super this turn, so we get that extra defense raise. We do not get the dodge. Alright, he didn't super, perfect. So, if he does super Bojack, we will still take damage, but Bojack's defense will be okay here. I never checked his links with the Ginyu guys, but it's probably literally only Fierce Battle. So, how much does he actually take from this? 122k. It's a little bit more than I maybe was expecting, but honestly it's not that bad. And now with good old STR JEICE, we can see that we're not getting super attacked on this turn, so I don't need to worry about int Captain Ginyu. I mean, int Captain Ginyu is going to be looking pretty good here. He's got 4 links active. We got the support from JEICE, so we should be looking all good here. Obviously, RECOOME and Guldo having type advantage over this phase, we are going to be able to do a pretty solid amount of damage. So what this all comes back to is, as a global player, I wanted to do these videos earlier rather than later, while the banner and everything is still around, all the sales are still up and all that stuff. Because if you were tempted to throw a couple of multis at this banner, especially because it has the 3 discounted steps at the beginning with guaranteed featured at the end, you know, regardless of whether you pull Ginyu and not the side banner units, or you pull the side banner units and not Ginyu, you can still make a fun team that is usable in the events that we have available in the game at the moment. Like, Minato was kind of trolling me a little bit when I posted the video yesterday. Obviously, I'm not talking about the red zone, and I talked about this in the video yesterday. Like, this team with this exact build, I would be very surprised if anyone was able to beat Red Zone Broly or Omega with this team build, right? But it's still a decent team. You probably could beat some of the earlier stages with it, as long as you get good RNG with, like, super attacks near the end, and that's why it obviously helps to have units that can actually scout those super attacks for you. So I feel like, just like one of the more difficult no item runs where it takes a lot of attempts until everything falls into place, I feel like this team could beat some of the early stages of the red zone, as long as you're not, like I say, getting that bad RNG with the enemy super attack placements. So obviously the point of these 2 videos wasn't to say that, like, oh, you know, it doesn't matter whether you get Ginyu and the side banner units, they're all the same. Like, obviously there's huge differentials in power, especially with this particular setup, because as we've already said, Ginyu having that full 200% leader skill does make a huge difference in the numbers that we get to see. But, like, physical LR Ginyu Force still hitting 5.7 million attack stat on this turn, while having very reasonable defense. Like, this team is still perfectly feasible for events on global at the moment. I mean, I would imagine you could probably beat Terrifying Conqueror's Super Battle Road with this exact team build, as long as, again, you get good RNG, smart item usage. Like, you could beat Terrifying Conqueror's Super Battle Road with this team. So, definitely it can be usable, even if you didn't pull the AGL Captain Ginyu. Like I said at the start, unfortunately, the numbers are a little bit skewed for my RECOOME and Guldo, because they do have 2 dupes. I know a lot of people, if you pulled the side banner units and not Ginyu, you probably only got the 1 copy of each, especially if you were only trying a couple of multis just to see how it goes. So, obviously, you're not necessarily going to see the exact same results every time, but Alright, so we're getting super attacked in slot 1, and now we can't dodge anymore. So this is where it will start to get a little bit more dangerous. We could float off Jace and Berta here. As long as they get more than one super attack, they should be fine. Ginyu in slot 1 is going to be going up to like 800k defense here, almost. So he's going to be fine eating that super attack. And then it'll be interesting to see actually how much they take from Blue Evolution Vegeta's normal attacks after they get their super off. Hopefully we can get the double super, get that double buff. But it'll be interesting to see how much they take now that we are unable to dodge. So Ginyu should be fine in slot 1. The double super obviously helps, even though he dodged. That all adds to our defense, so that's perfectly fine. And how much does this do to our boy Ginyu? Oh, well, 81 damage. So, yeah, I think we're looking pretty good. Now we just need to see how this 55% Jace and Berta hold up in slot 3 here. I believe they have 2 links left to go to 10 as well. My RECOOME Guldo and Jace and Burter both have 2 links to go to 10. Captain Ginyu has 1. This is at the time of recording. Pretty much once I've finished recording this video, I'm going to go back to link leveling. So one or more of them might even be done by the time this video actually goes up. But yeah, we're doing pretty well so far. So I feel like we could do this, right? Because Ginyu, he is greatly raising, or he raises defense for 1 turn on his super. We're only facing 1 enemy, so we're not getting the damage reduction. The only risky thing about this turn is we obviously aren't getting any sort of scouter effect. So I think the best thing to do is actually this. Now, if the LR Ginyu Force eats the super, that is going to be looking pretty bad. But obviously, this is something I've said in videos before quite a lot. Like, showcases are not the same as playing the game properly, right? Because you're sometimes keeping units on rotation that you wouldn't normally because you're trying to show them off in the video. Like here, this is the perfect example that the smart play is to put RECOOME Guldo in slot 3. So that's what we're going to do. Because they're going to super attack first and raise their defense. The first hit that they take, they get that 50% defense buff because they will guard because we've got Ginyus on rotation. And then they're just going to be able to tank everything else. Like, if he super attacks them, as long as it's not the first attack, then it shouldn't do crazy amount of damage. I mean, if it is the first attack, we would still live. But, yeah, so you're able to take double-digit damage. And then, I almost actually want him to super. Look at all of those attacks in slot 3, though. How many is that? Like 10? Alright, so here's the final flash. How do our boys take this? 30k. And then they still take double-digit damage from normal attacks. Now, obviously, the LR Ginyu Force, getting them their 18 key super in slot 1 was obviously super beneficial. And yeah, we've actually, because of the timing of the Dokkan attack, we didn't even get to the point where we needed to use the exchange. Well, I say needed to. We didn't even get the chance to do it at all, to get the exchange with Ginyu into Ginyu Goku. So, I mean, I feel like that's a pretty good example right there of how strong this team can be. We didn't even get to the point where our health was low enough that we needed to transform. Like, we probably got a little bit lucky along the way, because obviously every turn where we can't scout a super attack, then we kind of have to just leave it up to RNG. But yeah, I mean, I don't doubt that we are going to complete this run. We've got Jace on rotation, so we know where the supers are. He took 41k, which, again, remember, he's a free-to-play unit. We're on a 200% lead and a 170 lead. So I would say that is still pretty good. I mean, look at that. Bojack obviously has way less links active than Jace, but Bojack taking less damage. Taking more damage. So pretty crazy. So let's do that. Again, this is another, like, risky turn here. So this is the one where it could fall apart, because we need them dodges, really, for this to be a successful turn. I mean, we've got Jace. Remember, Jace and Berta are giving 60% support to the Ginyu Force units. So I think if we literally just go ahead and pop a Princess Snake here, that should leave us perfectly fine to survive the turn. So yeah, the super attack was in slot 1, so I think this was a good idea using the Princess Snake. How much does this do? Yeah, okay, yeah, the Princess Snake probably kept us alive there. So 6 million attack stat, and now because we've got a defense raise off of this as well, we should go back to, yep, tanking for double-digit damage. And then because the LR has 18 key supered in slot 1, Everybody should be tanking nicely here. Yep, double-digit damage for free-to-play Captain Ginyu. And then 2.16 for these guys. If we can get an additional super here, I think next turn's just going to be GG regardless, right? Because we've got Recoome and Guldo to go in slot 1. Yeah, double-digit, well, basically double-digit, 120, close enough. But then there's your double digits. So, yeah, the Ginyu Force side banner units still working very nicely on this team. We can finally get the exchange into Goku Ginyu, or Ginyu Goku, whichever way round it's supposed to be. And so he can finish off the event for us here. So, yeah, I think this video serves as a pretty good example that if you're on Global and you did some summons, or you're thinking about doing some summons, you pull the side banner units, but you don't pull AGL Captain Ginyu, you can still put together a team that can do well. Because I can't remember if it was a mission already, because it's been so long since I've done them all. But Terrifying Conquerors or Space Traveling Warriors. Is it Space Traveling Warriors that has one? Missions for like the GT Legendary Goku event or the Legendary Vegeta event. Obviously, you're going to be able to just do that with this team. So, I know it's super risky of me leaving Jace there in slot 3, but I'm pretty confident that Captain Ginyu or Jason, Guldo and Recoome are going to finish him off. Although, thinking about it, there is a possibility that Vegeta just dodges all of what AGL Ginyu does in the second slot, and then we die. So, probably should have thought about that, but here's Ginyu connecting with the first attack. Is this going to be enough? Is it 4.1? Okay, yeah, the additional normal will clutch it out. Yeah, because he gets a guaranteed additional normal, and we got the crit on the super. But there you go. So that is the Legendary Vegeta event beaten on Global using technically a Space Traveling Warriors / Terrifying Conquerors team without your own AGL Captain Ginyu and using both the side banner units. I would say both of the side banner units did very well. They did exactly what you need them to do. We got the dodges from JEICE and BURTER and the support. We got all the tanking from RECOOME and Guldo. So yeah, pretty good. Let me know what you guys think down below in the comment section. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Master Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.